We'll call the formal session of Virginia Beach City Council to order. I'd like for everybody to stand as we have the invocation. Following the invocation, if everybody remains standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Let us pause and invoke the presence of the Almighty. O Lord, our ultimate governor, your glory shines throughout the world. We commend to your merciful care our community and its elected and appointed leaders, that we may live securely in peace and may be guided by your providence. Give all in authority the wisdom and strength to know your will and to do your will. Help them remember that they are called to serve the people as lovers of truth and justice. Bless the people of this fair city and guide us all to be responsible citizens and neighbors, at peace among ourselves, and a blessing to the world. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
With
allegiance.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, unto the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Buck.
Can you open that?
May I have a motion to certify the closed session?
So moved.
The vote is open.
Can you close that? By a vote of 9-0, you have certified the closed session to be in accordance with the motion for recess.
May I have a motion to approve the informal and formal session minutes of July the 3rd, 2018, and July the 10th, 2018?
So moved.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I will be abstaining from July 3rd since I was not here.
thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Vote is open.
By a vote of 9-0, noting Ms. Abbott's abstention for July 3rd minutes, you have approved the minutes as submitted.
Before we move forward with the rest of the agenda, I would like for us to consider item I-1, which is a resolution celebrating the 75th anniversary of Naval Air Station Oceana. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Celebrating 50th, 70th.
Vote is open.
Sorry, 1 second. Mr. Earn, Mr. Jones, may I have your vote, please?
Thought I pushed
I'm
it.
sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
By a vote of 9-0, you have adopted the resolution.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're privileged this evening to have the commanding officer of Naval Air Station Oceana with us, Captain Chad Venslett. And Captain, if you come forward, I'd like to read the resolution, if I may. Resolution reads, whereas Naval Air Station Oceana began through acquisition by the United States Navy in 1940. Whereas at the time the area was open farmland set in an isolated part of what was then Princess Anne County and is now the city of Virginia Beach. Whereas in 1943 it was commissioned as a Naval Auxiliary Air Station. Whereas it now serves as Naval Air Station Oceana, the Navy's East Coast master jet base, comprising 11,000 acres of property and easements. Whereas there are 3 8,000-foot runways and 1 12,000-foot runway that will support all of the aircraft in the Department of Defense inventory. Whereas it has more than 17,000 Navy personnel and civilian employees, making it the second largest employer in Virginia Beach. Whereas Naval Air Station Oceana is now home to 17 FA-18 Hornet and Super Hornet squadrons. Whereas it is also home to the Navy's East Coast Boeing C-40-40A passenger freight aircraft. And whereas an average of 84,000 flight operations are flown each year at Naval Air Station Oceana. Whereas Naval Air Station Oceana is also home to numerous other activities, such as Commander Strike Fighter Wing Atlantic, Landing Signal Officer School, Carrier Air Ring Commanders, Fleet Area Control and Surveillance Facility, Virginia Capes, training schools for naval technicians, Marine Air Training Support Group, and Fleet Readiness Center, Mid-Atlantic, providing support for naval aviation maintenance and strike fighter weapons school at Atlantic, which provides graduate level training in air-to-ground and air-to-air tactics. Whereas the personnel at Naval Air Station Oceana provide innumerable benefits to the city of Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads generally through volunteering with Boy Scouts, parent-teacher organizations, and other charity groups as citizens of our Commonwealth. And whereas the city and Naval Air Station Oceana have developed model counter-encroachment programs ensuring both the continuing viability of the naval aviation mission and the city's ability to grow other key industries, as has been attested to by the Secretary of the Navy. And whereas Naval Air Station Oceana is celebrating 75 years of operation as a naval air station this month, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Virginia Beach, Virginia, that the City Council congratulates Naval Air Station Oceana and its anniversary and celebrates the long relationship that we have had with this institution. Be it further resolved by the Council of the City of Virginia Beach, Virginia, that we love the sound of freedom.
Yes.
Adopted by the City Council of the City of Virginia Beach, Virginia, this 7th day of August, 2018. Thank you, Captain, for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
That's it.
Thank you, guys.
I would like to remind everyone that the City Council speaker policy that allows certain representatives of groups to speak for 10 minutes applies only to planning items and items where a public hearing is required by state law. As to all other items on the agenda, each speaker, whether speaking individually or on behalf of a group, will have 3 minutes to speak. Also, when speakers are called on each item, the clerk will call for those individuals who have signed up to speak. After those who have signed up to speak have spoken, the chair will ask if there are any other persons who wish to speak on the item at hand. Those speakers will be allowed to speak and will be asked to give their name, address, and telephone number for the clerk to record. We'll now go to public hearings. The first public hearing is on the relocation of easement Landtown Road Improvement Project. Do we have any speakers?
No speaker, sir.
Second is the sale of excess city property, 236 Middle Lane. Do we have any speakers?
No, sir.
Third is the proposed open-air cafe franchise agreement, Fishbones Cafe at 1211 Atlantic Avenue.
There are no speakers, sir.
And four is the allocation of Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant Law Enforcement Purpose.
There are no speakers.
No speakers on any of those items. We'll now go to the consent agenda. Vice Mayor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to move to add to the agenda a resolution appointing Victoria L. Rice to the position of Assistant City Attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Votes open.
By a vote of 9-0, you have added the ordinance onto the agenda.
Okay, thank you. So for folks, those of you following along, we like the number 13 so much, we put it on here twice. So when you get to the second 13, that's actually going to be 14 as we go through. So let me start with the, Mr. Mayor, I move for approval under the consent agenda the following items. Under item I, ordinances, resolutions. I-2, resolution to authorize and direct the city manager to execute a First Amendment to the Memorandum of Agreement with Hampton Roads Sanitation District and its member localities regarding funding and implementation of Regional Wet Weather Management Plan. Item number 3, resolution to support offshore wind, and that resolution as modified, having been requested by Councilmember Earn, Mayor Jones, Vice Mayor Wood, Council Members Abbott, Davenport, Dyer, Henley, and Wilson, with the note that Councilmember Moss is abstaining on that item. Item I-4, resolution to amend the membership of the Transition Area Interfacility Traffic Area Citizens Advisory Committee. I-5, resolution to amend the membership of the Oceana Land Use Conformity Committee. 6, ordinance to amend City Code Sections 2-455 and 2-456, Ray, name and functions of the Department of Aquarium, Historic Houses and Museums. Item I-7, ordinance to grant a franchise agreement, Ray Open Air Cafe in the resort area to Fishbones at 1211 Atlantic Avenue. I-8, ordinance to authorize relocation of a 25-foot portion of an existing Dominion Energy easement along Lansdowne Road by declaring excess and granting a 25-foot Dominion Energy easement on the far eastern side of the remaining 120 feet existing easement, Ray Lansdowne Road Improvement Project, noting that Mr. Moss is abstaining on this item. Item I-9, ordinance to authorize and accept the dedication of property and easement, Ray Buccaneer Road Bulkhead Replacement Project. I-10, ordinance to authorize and accept the dedication of 10 square feet of property located at the intersection of Indian River Road and Lifetime Circle, Ray right-of-way purposes. I-11, ordinance to declare excess city property at 236 Middle Lane and authorize the city manager to sell the same to Chad A. and Jennifer L. Ewell. Item I-12, ordinance to approve the sale of school board property, Ray Princess Anne Road 7 project, and allow the school board to retain the sale proceeds. Item I-13, ordinances, Ray Lynnhaven River Basin Ecosystem Restoration Project. A, establish CIP Project 7-059 and transfer $3 million from Water Quality and Restoration Participation Projects 2 and Lynnhaven River Watershed 2 CIP projects. B, authorize the city manager to execute a project partnership agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers. Item 14, ordinance to authorize a $25,000 grant to the Navy League Hampton Roads Council Race Oceana's 75th anniversary celebration and retract the prior grant authorization to WeFeed, noting that Councilmember Moss is abstaining on this item. Item 16, ordinance to accept in-kind donations to the Department of Public Libraries from the Friends of the Virginia Beach Public Libraries and the Virginia Beach Library Foundation Raise Support Summer Reading Challenge. Item 17, ordinance to accept and appropriate A, donations totaling $49,961.22 from the Friends of Virginia Beach Public Libraries to the FY 17-18 operating budget of the Department of Public Libraries. B, grant funds totaling $88,131 from the Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant to the FY 2018-19 operating budget of the Sheriff's Office, Police Department, and the Community Corrections Pretrial Division, noting that what we are voting on is a substitute version that had the additional paragraph 4 added to it. Item 18, ordinance to appropriate $80,000 from fund balance of the Police Federal and State Seized Assets Special Revenue Fund to the FY 2018-19 operating budget of the Police Department, Ray purchase of vehicles for Investigations Division. B, $125,000 from the Virginia Tourism Authority to the FY 2018-19 operating budget of Economic Development and authorize a grant to the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. Item C, $16,500 from the 11th Annual Virginia Beach Business Appreciation Charity Golf Classic and Networking Reception, and authorize 3 equal donations to the Global Studies Academy at Tallwood High School, the Achievable Dream Academy at SeaTac Elementary, and Good Girls Right Code Incorporated, noting that Councilmember Abbott is abstaining on this item. And the new item 19, which is a resolution appointing Victoria L. Rice, Assistant City Attorney.
Declare a public hearing on planning.
Item J1, Princess Anne Hotel LLC, City of Virginia Beach, for conditional change of zoning from B2 Community Business to conditional B4 Mixed Use at the northeast corner of Princess Anne Road and Community College Place, intersection District 7, Princess Anne, and that's for consent for indefinite deferral. Item J2, HOFD Asheville Park LLC, for modification of proffers of a conditional rezoning at the north and south sides of Asheville Park Boulevard, approved on February 24th, 2004, and modified on May 10th, 2005, and February 14th, 2012, and that's for approval, District 7. Item J3, Nathan Hinch Wykunis, for a conditional use permit regarding home occupation of firearm sales at 1332 Stringfellow Court, District 2, Kempsville. Item J4, Brittany Primer and Brandy Miller, for a conditional use permit, Ray Family Daycare Home at 1001 Eagle Point Drive in the Centerville District. Item 5, Edith and Daniel Monroe, for conditional use permit, Ray Family Daycare Home at 164 Onondaga Road, District 4 Bayside. Item 6, Donna C. Denham, for a conditional use permit, Ray Family Daycare Home at 965 Edwin Drive in the Kempsville District, noting that Councilmember Abbott is abstaining on that item. Item 7, H&S Development Group, LLC, Columbia Club of Virginia Beach, for a conditional use permit, Ray Communication Tower at 1236 Prosperity Road, District 6 Beach, and that's for an indefinite deferral. Item 8, Christopher Stankus, for a conditional use permit, Ray Commercial Kennel at 3612 West Neck Road, District 7, Princess Anne. Item 9, resolution to authorize 3 roadside guide signs along Atlantic and Pacific Avenue, Ray Edgar Casey's ARE, District 5, Lynn Haven. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. The vote is open.
Close. By a vote of 9 to 0, you have approved the consent agenda as read by the Vice Mayor, noting Mr. Moss and Ms. Abbott's abstentions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to explain my abstentions on item 3 and 8. Item 3 dealt with support offshore wind. Number 2 dealt with Dominion Energy. I receive more than $5,000 annually from Dominion Energy, and by state code, that is the amount that establishes a conflict. So to avoid violating the law, I am abstaining. With regards to item 14, which was the grant to the Navy League, as both military and civilian people of the Navy understand, our code is always to avoid even the appearance of the conflict of interest. So as I am a Navy employee, I'm abstaining to avoid that appearance. And I have 2 letters on file.
Ms. Abbott?
I'd like to do the same thing. First on item 18C, which deals with the donation to the Achievable Dream Academy at SeaTac Elementary. I very proudly say that my husband is a teacher at SeaTac, and because they are also employed by the Achievable Dream Academy, I felt that it would be inappropriate for me to vote on that item, although very proud that he is there. Also on item LD, I abstained because my family business has an interest in that property, and I felt it was also inappropriate, and I as well have 2 letters on file. Thank you.
We'll now go to item 14 under ordinances and resolutions.
15, the new 15.
15 with the new number, which is an ordinance to transfer $1 million from CIP 7-151, the Eastern Shore Drive Drainage Phase 1 to CIP 7-047, Asheville Park Drainage Improvements Phase 1. Madam Clerk, we have any speakers?
Yes, 1 speaker, Mrs. Marsh.
Good evening, council members. Ron Marsh again to speak to you about flooding. And I have handed out to the clerk a copy of this, which all of you should be able to see. There was excessive flooding on Shore Drive on or about July 11th, and candidate Aaron Rouse took those pictures and he provided those. So I am opposed to transferring $1 million from the Shore Drive CIP to Asheville Park. Instead, I am requesting that you take that $1 million and you begin immediately to start to repair Shore Drive or do whatever you can to improve the flooding. The citizens are very upset that the flooding has gotten to this state, and it is important to know that I am working now as a volunteer with Stop the Flooding Now, and we have been posting about this. We've had over 28,000 posts and responses in a 28-day period, or reads, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm using the right term for social media, but I'm really good at putting things on social media, and people read them, and they respond, and I messenger them to any of you that have messenger accounts that are active. But Mr. Wood, Mr. Jones, you don't get them because you don't have active accounts, and neither does Ms. Kane.
I actually have an active messenger account.
Well, you blocked me, but that's okay, you know? That's fine.
I have not
You know,
blocked you.
but again, citizens are upset, and they are looking at the spending that you're doing, and their big concern is you're spending $55 million for a city hall that could probably be renovated in this current state for maybe 25 to 30 million. I would imagine this building, after you plan to move, it was going to be renovated, and why not renovate it and use it yourself and take that 25 or 30 million and put it in our fiscally constrained budget and do more with the flooding that is an immediate concern for citizens. What we have is a sports complex also, and one of the pictures in the middle of your handout is from Baltic Avenue, about less than a few city blocks from where the sports complex is going to go. And maybe our esteemed city manager could work on looking at if we need to elevate the sports complex, because we may have flooding issues at that location on May 17th. 2 days after you passed the CIP and pushed it through, we had at least 1.5 feet of flooding right there, and that picture represents it. I did also want to say that I was very upset when I read the letter that you sent, Mr. Hanson, to the state. I believe that was the Secretary of Natural Resources. Debbie Improvento and Delegate Myers worked very hard to get money, and I really think the council should be reading letters before they go to the state. It was offensive to me, and I think it offended the people in Buchanan Creek who have had erosion and have had very little help from the city for far too long.
Are there any further speakers?
There are no more speakers, sir.
May I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Moss.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm voting for this only because there's insufficient dollars to execute the project. But the point that's being made was a good one, because we have sufficient dollars in the CIP and lower priority items that we could collect those dollars and do more flooding projects. But we can't award the contract to deal with Asheville Park without this $1 million. But the fact that we are not properly funding, capitalizing flooding projects and doing so, and not doing so at the expense of lower priority items, I couldn't agree with the speaker more. But we do have the item that we can solve, and so I'm voting for it. But I appreciate the point that you're making.
Anybody else? If not, the vote is open.
By a vote of 9-0, you've approved the ordinance to transfer $1 million from Eastern Shore Drive drainage to Asheville Park Drainage Improvements Phase 1.
Thank you. We will now go to the appointments. Mr. Vice Mayor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move for appointment the following individuals: Arts and Humanities Commission, Megan R. Kennett and Susan C. Gruby. For the Community Policy and Management Team, Gayleen Thomas, Roni Myers-Daub, and Joy Rios. For the Green Ribbon Committee, Chris Freeman, Roy Flanagan, and Al Henley. For the Human Rights Commission, Cheryl Kalim. For the Investigative Review Panel, Robert Beasley, Barbara Booker Williams, William Hurst. For the Oceana Land Use Conformity Committee, Vice Mayor Wood, Ron Williams, and a designation of the Oceana Commander. Parks and Rec Commission, Joe Monaco, Patricia Dolan, Kima Giroux, Hugh Tierney, and Alex Hakem. Personnel Board, Daniel DeRoche. Wetlands Board, Jason Barney. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations? If not, the vote is open.
By a vote of 9-0, you have appointed those as read by the Vice Mayor.
Is there any unfinished business? Any new business? And I will adjourn the formal session, and then after we turn off the mic, we will, or the camera, we'll have the open mic session.
Just waiting for the camera to go off.